my life, removing pain. Lord, let my words heal a heart that hurts. I want to spend my life mending broken people. I want to spend my life mending broken people.
Hello and welcome to another 3ABN Today program. I'm Jason Bradley and I am excited that you could join us. We will be talking about the Seventh Scroll Ministry. Now, perhaps you've heard of the Seventh Scroll Ministry as our guests have been here before, but if you haven't, you will get that introduction to them today. We have with us Michael Edwards, who is the Seventh Scroll President, and we have his wife and secretary, Joanna-Marie Edwards, and she's the Seventh Scroll Secretary. Welcome to the program.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
It's great to have you guys here, and I'm excited about finding out all about how this got started. I know that it must have been a faith walk, and but before we jump in, we're going to be blessed in song by John Stoddard. He's going to be playing Come Thou Fount.
Come thou fount of every blessing, tune my heart to sing your grace. Streams of mercy never ceasing, call for songs of loudest praise. And teach me ever to adore thee. May I still thy goodness prove, while the hope of endless glory fills my heart with joy and love. Oh, here I raise my Ebenezer, hither by thy help I've come, and I hope by thy good pleasure safely to arrive at home. Jesus sought me when a stranger, wandering from the throne of God. He to rescue me from danger, he interposed his precious blood. His precious blood. Oh, to grace, how great a debtor daily I'm constrained to be. And let thy goodness, like a fetter, draw me closer, Lord, to thee. Prone to wander, Lord, I feel it. heart, Lord, take and seal it for your court above. Prone to wander, Lord, I feel it. Prone to leave the God I love. Here's my heart, oh, take and seal it for your courts above. Seal it for your courts above. Seal it for your courts above. Seal it for your courts above.
Wow, what a beautiful song, Come Thou Fount. I want to share a scripture with you. This is found in Hebrews chapter 11, verse 1. And it says, "Now faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen." You know, oftentimes when I think about faith, I like to think of it as the ability to tolerate uncertainty while trusting in God. You know, as human beings, we tend to want to know everything. True. I mean, that's one of the hardest things, is to be able to tolerate uncertainty and placing that trust in God. I'm excited that you guys are here once again. Tell me a little bit about the Seventh Scroll Ministry.
The Seventh Scroll. I like to think that the Seventh Scroll started when our personal relationship with God started to mature. We were fresh out of college, trying to figure out life professionally. You know, where was God taking us and how would this work? And Joe and I met on Facebook.
Okay.
Now, not the best place, but I wouldn't recommend for everyone else to look for their life partner on Facebook. But we met on Facebook, and God brought us together at a really great time. And we supported each other through this journey of trying to figure out what's next in life. And being both raised in the church, through this frustration, we kind of supported each other going back to our roots.
Nice.
And that's the foundation and relationship with God.
Got you.
And as we started taking our spiritual walk seriously, I began having dreams. And it was scary. I couldn't quite understand where it was coming from, but I knew it was God speaking to me.
Yes.
As this journey kind of matriculated through a few months, God spoke to me audibly. So I'm at worship one day and I hear God's voice tell me that he wants me to start a bus ministry where I'm sharing the everlasting gospel to my city, but also the testimony of where he brought me from to where I currently was. And it was scary. But Proverbs tells us that in a multitude of counselors, there's safety. And God put a beautiful support group around us. And this support group was interested in the mission that God placed on our hearts. And we formed the Seventh Scroll.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. I'm still kind of stuck on the fact that you guys met on Facebook. You encouraged each other.
Right.
You know, and then you had these dreams, and that's amazing. And then the ministry came about.
Right. So the ministry's purpose was to share the everlasting gospel through charitable service. And our main charitable service was going to be this bus ministry. But when we formed the ministry, we didn't have a bus.
Okay.
And our whole focus was, well, Lord, you told us to start a bus ministry, but we don't have a bus. And around that same time, God was urging us to get married. And we didn't quite understand, well, the timing of this marriage and the bus, like how these two kind of work together. And so we followed God's lead because our favorite verse is 1 Samuel 15:22, where it says, obedience is better than sacrifice. And so we wanted to obey God. He said, he was urging us to get married. So we went ahead and started planning a wedding. And we told all of our families and friends that we invited that we weren't interested in gifts or financial blessings, not because we're the richest people in the world, by any stretch, but simply because we were just so happy that God brought us together, and we wanted to share that moment with our friends and family. And we had gracious family and friends that still supported us monetarily.
Yes.
And we're truly appreciative for that. But a few months later, we found a bus. And it just so happened that all of the money, down to the penny, that we got from our wedding paid for the bus.
Wow.
And so it finally clicked.
What I want to touch on that part for a second, because you weren't asking for financial gifts or anything like that, monetary gifts, but then you ended up getting some monetary gifts for your wedding.
Right.
And then you took that money and invested it into the ministry.
Correct. And
Wow.
it was a blessing. We got the bus, and with the support of our church family, Hanson Place, Seventh-day Adventist Church in Brooklyn.
I've been there.
And our then pastor, Pastor Bernard Penn, and our then elder Jeremiah Cox Sr., and the rest of our church family, we were able to get the bus on the road.
Wow.
So we dedicated the bus in July 27th of 2013. And the first day that we got the bus on the road was July 29th. That was the Monday of 2013. And we pulled the bus out of the lot, and I just began crying.
Wow.
It was just such a blessing to actually see what God told me become a reality. And I don't want to get in trouble here, Jason, but I have to be honest. Driving the bus for the first time was probably 1B to getting married, 1A. It's close. I still give the edge to, getting married. It was a blessing.
Well, you might end up getting in trouble, but we have a picture of the bus here.
It's a real moment. Just getting out there, and I'm sure the initial riders who came on the bus probably thought I was a little crazy for crying, but it was such a blessing just to be out there and to be servicing people, and, sharing the everlasting gospel.
And to see God's will being played out in your life. He called you to do this, and now you're seeing the fulfillment of that.
It was amazing. It was amazing.
So your faith was rewarded.
Yes. In that first year, we saw a myriad of blessings. By the end of the first year, we amassed about 1 million riders, which probably sounds like a lot, but the transit the Transit Authority in New York City gets about 650 million riders a year.
Wow.
So we only had one bus, and 1 million riders is probably a small dent.
Wow.
In that number of ridership. But we were able to develop a lot of relationships with community members. We even had media outlets come out and do focus pieces on us. We had NPR, we had NYU, and we even came here to 3ABN.
Yeah, Fox 5 News too, didn't you?
Right.
Yes.
So lots of other interactions with different media outlets and just people understanding what we do and how we're trying to service our community.
Yes.
So that was amazing.
And so you had the opportunity to minister to the individuals on the bus and everything. And so how did that take place? Like, what did the ministry part look like on the bus?
Well, Mike was driving, and I was in the back talking to any riders that we had. We implemented a prayer book, and so we would pray with the people, talk to them. They'll tell us any issues they're having, and they'll write down prayer requests. And two of the best prayer requests that we've had, one is health, and the second one is finances. And so while being on the bus, we wanted to ask God how exactly to practically help them with these issues. And
we started to pray.
Yeah. It's interesting because you guys really implemented Christ's method.
True.
Ministry
of Healing tells us, really focus on people's needs as you draw closer to them, then you can bid them follow Christ.
Yes.
And so we started digging through the Bible, digging through one of our favorite books, Ministry of Healing, and the idea of a cooking school came up. And that first year in ministry really allowed us to develop, as we said before, relationships. And one of the key relationships developed was becoming ASI members.
Okay.
And becoming a member in ASI was such a blessing because we were able to get support and mentorship more than anything else. And so we brought this idea of a cooking school to our ASI family and asked for guidance with it. You know, what do you think about it? How can we really get this moving forward? Give us some counsel. And so with the support of the president then, Dr. Perry, and Elder Lance Wilbur from Post Cafe in Massachusetts, they gave us a tremendous amount of insight on how to actually move this project forward.
Yes.
And so we started the cooking school October of 2016.
Wow.
And over the span of 8 weeks, we collaborated with our local church, and we must have had about 80 people coming out to the cooking school.
Wow, 80 people.
80 people.
So what can people expect when they go to the cooking school?
So that was our biggest issue. We were thinking, well, Lord, how would a cooking school look if Jesus was on this planet walking in our modern day? And so we thought, as we looked into Jesus' ministry, how did he do things? And he had a very practical element of how he did ministry. It wasn't always theoretical. And so we wanted to bring that practical aspect into the cooking school.
Okay.
And so the best way we could show that is not just to demonstrate to people how to cook, but to have them cooking along with the demonstrator.
Gotcha.
And so we collaborated with Heidi's Health Kitchen. We collaborated with Vegan Nest, Pulse Cafe, a ton of other health ministries in the area to really try and support moving this project forward. And it was a blessing. So many people came out and they were truly touched.
And what about the financial component? Because I know that you said finances and health. What about the financial component? How did you guys?
So we noticed that with the finances, it was tied to the health.
Okay.
In that while people wanted more money to achieve more in their lives, a lot of it came at the expense of their own health. And so as we went through the surveys from a cooking school, we noticed that there are a lot of lifestyle diseases that were pulling money from people's accounts. Diseases like diabetes, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, all of these issues that God gave us the remedy for through natural therapeutics, through herbs, through lifestyle changes. This is the second component that was missing from people's lives.
So in other words, these aren't necessarily hereditary problems or diseases or anything like that. This is like self-inflicted through diet, through lifestyle, things. And so you guys are showing them how to combat that.
Right.
Okay.
And so we said, Lord, how can we even go deeper? And so we noticed that this was an issue. And so we said, Lord, help us get some training on this.
Yeah.
Some clinical herbal training, some training in hydrotherapy, and other therapeutics can really support people's well-being, especially in New York City.
Yes, yes, which is a high-stress area.
You know this is super stressful.
Yeah.
And so people need that help. And so the cooking school ran for 8 weeks, tons of support, and people were truly blessed. So I want you to picture this. We had the bus going full-time, and so we would run the bus morning rush hour all the way to evening rush hour. So that could be anywhere between 5 a.m. to probably 9 p.m. We had the cooking school going, and so that would meet a cooking class once a week. And we were enrolled in a clinical herbal program. And we also have Bible studies going every Friday evening.
And you also have your marriage.
Yes.
Right.
How did you manage all of these things?
It was a lot.
It was.
It was a really stressful time, and here we are trying to help other people's health and our own health, they're declining.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
And so we looked to God and we said, Lord, we're overwhelmed. We need some help. And Luke 10 never became even more real to us, that the harvest is plentiful, but the laborers are few.
Yeah.
And we were coming back from dropping some friends off. This was the middle of December of 2016. And we were dropping them off at our friends upstate, Eden Lifestyle.
Yes,
Just.
very familiar with them.
Yeah. And we were coming back in with the bus, and we were refueling, so we pulled into a gas station. And as we pulled into the gas station, it was snowing outside, and Joe and I started to smell smoke. So
Oh, no.
we were a little taken aback. We said, well, it's a gas station. What's the chances, right? But the way the bus was constructed, the engine was inside of the bus. So we lifted the hood, and as we lifted the hood, a huge waft of smoke came out.
Oh, no.
So Joe looked at me, I looked at Joe, we grabbed our coats.
And we just ran out.
We ran off the bus.
Wow.
We left everything else on the bus.
Everything.
Wow. I think, you know what? I think we have a video
Yeah.
of the bus that we want to show.
It was a bitter moment.
Yeah.
Just standing there and watching the bus in the gas station, right next to a gas pump.
In flames.
In flames.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so we alerted the attendant, and we let the attendant know that there was a fire in progress. And he pressed the safety valve to kind of ensure some safety measures. But we waited for the greater part of half an hour before the firemen were able to show up and put out the flames.
Wait a minute. You waited how long?
About half an hour.
Yeah.
Wow. That was a long response time.
Yeah. But when the firemen came, they showed us the fire pattern in the bus.
Okay.
And Mike's driver's seat wasn't burned. Our books weren't burned. None of the passenger seats were burned. And so we just knew that God was still in the blessing.
Yeah.
Even though it just looked, you know.
It looked bad, but
Yeah.
God still was protecting.
Yeah.
That's
Not one
amazing.
Bible burned, and we were just,
No.
we were just so surprised. We were saying, Lord, thank you. You know, even amidst that bitter moment, there was that peace that, you know, He would never leave us, He would never forsake us.
Yes.
And so it was challenging. For the next few weeks, we received a lot of support from our ASI family, our local church, the community. Everyone wanted us to get back out on the road and see this ministry continue.
Yes.
But our question was, well, Lord, you allowed this bus to burn. What is the message that you really want to get through to us? As much as we wanted to get back on the road, we really had to be honest and ask God, what did He want us to do?
Yes.
And around that time, Elder Lance from Pulse Cafe.
He also does True Knowledge Itself on Dare to Dream. Yeah, with Lance.
So he sent us a dissertation from Ted Wilson, Elder Ted Wilson, the president. And this dissertation was made way before I was even thought of.
Wow.
But it was a beautiful dissertation on urban evangelism in New York City. And so we combed through this dissertation, and we looked at each one of the aspects of urban evangelism that was outlined using the Bible and the spirit of prophecy. And we've realized that God wanted something specific done in New York City. He wanted health evangelism to be the primary goal of reaching the people. And as we sat back and reflected on it, Jason, we said, well, we noticed that God was taking us in this direction even before this tragedy. Helping us with food distribution, helping us start the cooking school.
Clothes distribution.
Clothes distribution, everything was geared towards health. And so we doubled down for the next couple of weeks and months. We doubled down on, you know, doing more health evangelistic classes, more wellness lectures, meeting more people. And we were able to, as a result, link with our local borough president and really broadcast to the community the services and opportunities that we have to try and enrich people's lives.
Yeah, yeah. I want to go back just a little bit because you said something that just really, really grabbed me, and that was the fact that you were looking for the lesson that was in the trial.
Yeah.
You know, oftentimes we go through things and we're just like, oh, this is horrible. I can't believe I'm dealing with this. I can't, you know, murmuring and complaining.
Yeah.
But how many times do we stop and take a look to see what lesson God is trying to teach us? I think that says a lot, you know.
And it was tough just because you're put in a position where you have to put yourself aside.
Yeah.
And if you're truly wanting to follow God and whatever he's asking you to do, we submit to him because we love him. We
Yes.
know that he knows better than we do.
Yes.
And so he was taking us in this different direction. And it was exciting because we were so used to the bus by now. It was a great deal of what we do, how we connect with people. And now God was taking us in a totally different direction. And so with that came some challenges. Trying to figure out how we would do this. Remember, by this time, we had seen over 3.5 million riders on the bus. And so we were thinking, Lord, how can we duplicate this kind of effectiveness?
Yes.
And we found that God also isn't interested in quantity as much as he's interested in quality.
That's right.
And so God wanted us to, move in this direction. And as we were having students coming in, one of our students said, do you mind if I share this with my coworkers, this cooking school? I've learned so much. And we were saying, okay, we don't have a problem. Tell as many people as you like.
Yeah.
And his coworkers happened to be members at Fox 5.
Wow.
And, it was a blessing. They came in with their cameras and they filmed what we actually did.
Wow.
And it got us even more exposure. So many more people came to the cooking school as a result.
Wow.
And it's been a blessing ever since.
Yeah, yeah. So God just continues to help you guys to be effective and to reach like a wide variety of people. And that also goes to show that you don't know who you're coming in contact with. You don't know who you're dealing with.
We had no idea.
You always have to put your best foot forward. So that's amazing.
It was great. And so we were saying, Lord, thank you for showing us that, because sometimes in our own finite minds, we can't see the end from the beginning.
Yeah.
We know that God definitely knows how things will progress.
Yes.
And so we continued opening up to our community now wellness consultations and being able to help them with the lifestyle challenges that so many people are facing, especially in New York City.
Yeah.
You would think with a city that has so many opportunities and amenities that people will be healthier, but it's the direct opposite.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Poor
believe
food
it.
choices and
Yeah. And I mean, everything's so expensive in New York. Like the cost of living. Everything is so expensive and you're on the go so much. It's just hustle and bustle. And so when you're rushing, what kind of tips, to put you on the spot right now, what kind of tips do you have for that person that's out there that may be on the go all the time? How can they still maintain a healthy diet?
It's simple. God gives us the remedy in Genesis chapter 1. He gives us a plant-based diet. And this plant-based diet really helps not just with our physical body, but also helps with our mind. And in an environment like New York City where everything is fast-paced, people really need to be able to slow down and not consume the foods that would, take them out of that peace of mind, but also take their body out of shape. So first tip I would give is to start implementing more fruits and more vegetables into your diet.
Yeah, because you don't have to prepare that per se.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Just some fresh fruits, some fresh vegetables. It will do a myriad of things for you that, otherwise you wouldn't get.
Yeah.
Also preparation. Always prepare ahead so you don't have to rush. Because we rush so much is because we just don't have the preparation in mind.
Yeah.
So that's always necessary.
Yes, that's an excellent point. I want to hear a little bit more from you. What does your day look like? Like, what's a day in your life look like?
Well, of course, we do worship in the mornings, exercise, and we get our day started with answering any calls, emails. If we have a cooking school at the time, we have to shop for ingredients. We have to sometimes the recipe test. That includes burning things. That includes a lot of mistakes, but we figure things out by God's grace, and we get that together. We do health consultations as well, and so we have to make sure that we have our book together and meet with those people as well. get protocols together, and so it's a pretty busy day. Sometimes we have late nights, but you know, God has been in helping us.
And how is it being in ministry with your husband? Like, how is that, you know, you guys together? What is that like?
I see him all the time. But it's a blessing anyway.
This might be her chance when she gets in trouble.
I think we play well off of each other. And so it helps my weaknesses as well as his.
All right, so you've got the cooking classes, you've got the consultations, you're, you know, teaching people how to lead healthier lifestyles. What are some testimonials or success stories that you can share?
Well, one with Fox 5 coming, that was just huge. Being able to reach a whole new demographic of people.
Yes.
Especially in this day and age where it's a little bit harder to knock on every door and share what you do with people. Getting your story and your mission out to a large group of people is paramount.
Yeah.
So that was huge. Another one has been able to connect with local groups, you know, especially the borough president and other, you know, community groups that are interested in health, but are not really seeing the correlation between faith and health. And that's been such a blessing, being able to bring people in from different walks of life.
Yeah, yeah.
And being able to share with them the gospel.
Yes.
Because it's deeper than the food.
Absolutely. And it's like, if you can teach somebody how to be healthy, but if there's not that spiritual component,
Exactly.
I mean, you're missing
The point.
The main message. The main message. We have some more pictures that I want us to look at, and you can just tell us briefly what's going on in each one of those.
This is our street team.
Okay.
So as we continue with this health evangelism, we've been doing Bible studies every week, every Friday evening. We call it Pillars and Fillers.
Okay. I like that, pillars and fillers.
Right. So we talk about the pillars of our faith, but we also have fillers where we talk about stories in the Bible that kind of support those pillars. But we also call it fillers because we do have some healthy snacks there for our guests to come out. And so we talk a lot about what God's plan is for our life, the plan of salvation. And as a result, there's an action part of it, the practical component, where we go out into community and we share the everlasting gospel with them. And so part of that is literature distribution.
Okay.
Not too far from our home church, Hanson Place, the Barclay Center was built.
Okay.
And so it attracts lots of people from all over New York City for different events, whether it be sports events or concerts. And we use that as a beautiful opportunity to share God's word through literature.
Yes.
Also, we hand out DVDs and books and all kinds of media to get people to understand what the everlasting gospel is.
Yeah.
So,
have you found that people are becoming a little bit more receptive to it now, or what do you see?
Yeah, we're seeing a lot more people being receptive, especially using like glow tracks.
Yes.
Those are just gems.
Yes.
We're able to get those out and really share with people in a concise manner, whatever message we're trying to get through to them at that time.
Gotcha.
And, people are really receptive.
Good, good. Yeah, I mean, there's so much going on in the world today. You know, people have questions, and they're searching, and it's a prime opportunity to witness to them. So that's amazing. Now we also have some more pictures that I want to go through these. I want to see these pictures. You guys have some stories.
So this is with our first 8 Weeks to Wellness cooking class series. And we, like we said before, we collaborated with our ASI family, and one of them is Heidi's Health Kitchen. They came and taught some classes there for us, and that was huge. Just being able to, again, collaborate with all of the ministries in the area and really move forward the work. We believe there's strength in numbers, and if we're not united, then we really are limiting our reach in moving forward the gospel.
Yeah, and I like that too, because it's like you're working together, because the goal is to win souls for Christ.
That's it.
That's the ultimate goal.
That's it.
Yeah. So
this is our what the layout of our cooking class would look like. So people are actually cutting and cooking, and
it's hands-on.
It's very hands-on, and we're also attributing to that practical component some education as well. So teaching people what the ingredients are that they're actually using. So whether it be garlic or lemon or thyme, whatever they're using, understanding why they're using it, but then attaching a spiritual connotation to it as well.
Now, do you guys also have like the health benefits or the of each item per se, as much as you can? Yeah.
And let people know the benefit of following God's plan.
Amen. Amen.
Yeah.
And so what has been some of the responses and feedback from the cooking classes?
It's been huge. We've even been able to work with local schools and universities because they've seen how us reaching the community has had a profound effect. And so we've gone to local universities and done teaching for the students there, but also for staff.
Wow.
And so just sharing that there's a connection between faith and food.
Wow. So you've gone to local universities. Now, are these public universities?
Public universities.
Wow. So that's huge. God is basically just saying, like, he wants to reach his people. He wants to reach the people.
He does.
And he wants to save them.
He does.
And so you guys are entering the public universities, grabbing people off the street everywhere.
We are.
That is awesome. That is awesome.
So it's a donation-based cooking class program. And so as people are blessed and they enjoy what the environment and the lessons that we're trying to get through, people support. And we're able to move the project forward.
Yes.
And it's the same principle that we've used with the bus. Matthew 10 tells us, freely we receive, freely we give.
Amen.
And that's our motto as we move it forward.
Amen. Now, were you always good in the kitchen, or, I mean...
I'll be honest. I'll be honest. I wasn't always the best in the kitchen.
Okay.
I still don't think I'm the best. But you know, with trial and error, you learn as you progress, and I'm a little bit better than I was to begin with.
Okay.
He does well in the kitchen.
He does well in the
He
kitchen?
does.
I try.
Okay.
He does. He has a mean lasagna. He does.
Okay. Nice.
It's all right. It's all right.
I'm well with the baking. He's well with the cooking.
Oh, so you're good
So it's a
at
good
baking.
balance.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Nice. We actually have another food video.
Okay.
Now let's go to that. Let's take a look at that now.
So this is probably how a typical setup would look like. We have a lot of the fresh vegetables and foods, and our clients come in, different from the community, from the church, wherever, and we have them actually source their own foods, similar if they were in a grocery or a supermarket. And they measure out, so we have bowls and pots and pans and burners for everyone, and we're actually making the recipe in real time. And so we looked at the ministry of healing and saw some principles that the food should be affordable, it should be accessible, it should be healthy, it should be palatable, so really tasty food. And so we use these principles in making simple dishes that wouldn't just nourish the body, but just also the mind.
Yes.
And community is built. So many people come in contact with each other that probably wouldn't talk, even though they live probably on the same block or in the same neighborhood. We're able to bring them closer by just uplifting God and his principles.
Hey man, I'll tell you what, that food looks delicious. And now I'm hungry. Now I am hungry. You touched on something about, you know, finding inexpensive food. A lot of times people think, well, it's so expensive to eat healthy. That's what you hear all the time. What are some things that people can do to where they can make it affordable for themselves?
Really source organic food, but you can get this from your local supermarket. We've seen it in Walmart, we've seen it in ShopRite, different local grocery supermarkets. They have good food. But what tends to happen is people tend to go to the other aisles in the supermarket, the canned foods and everything, and kind of leave the fresh vegetables and fruits by themselves. So if we tap more into that, there's a wealth of health and nutrients just in that section.
Yes,
And, just eat as fresh as you can.
Fresh is best.
Yeah.
That's right. That's right. Have you always been like this healthy guy?
I'll be honest. I've always been plant-based.
Okay.
I've been raised plant-based since birth.
Okay.
So I've never had any meat. I've never had any dairy or any dairy products. And so this is all I know.
Gotcha.
So it's interesting that God kind of brought me back into something that,
Yeah.
but taking me a step further and let me understand the spiritual component to
Yes.
this, that it's not just about the food.
Yes.
It's about our connection with him.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, Joanna, where does your passion stem from in all of this?
My mom has had me in the kitchen from when I was really young. And so it, just like he said, it kind of came back full circle to now we have a cooking school, and now I'm baking the same way she used to teach me to bake. And
Yes.
it's just a blessing.
Yes. His face lit up when you said you're baking, so it must be delicious.
Some good food, Jason.
Yes,
Good food.
yes. Oh, man. It's amazing how God works, because he brought you two together and you're in ministry together, but you both complement each other so well. So it's just amazing to see that dynamic and see how God orchestrated the whole thing.
Yeah, he gets all the praise, all the credit. And we're just so thankful just to be together, but also with a team.
Yes.
Because it's really not just us. It's a team of us that really moved this project forward and God's mission in New York City. And moving forward, God has been impressing us on our hearts lately to really unite and really train as many people as we can in this line of work, because there's a field of work that's untapped.
Yes.
And people, whether you're rich or poor, young or old, everyone is interested in health.
Yes.
And so that's our mission and our plan moving forward. We really want to help teach people what we have been experienced and exposed to.
Yeah. And it's, when you think about the cost, when you think about the price, it's a lot cheaper to eat healthier than it is to pay that medical bill that you receive
Tell me about
after
it.
you get out of that hospital. It's a lot cheaper to do it that way.
It is.
Yeah, yeah. So what's next for the Seventh Scroll Ministry?
Like we said, we really want to teach more, share what God has blessed us with, the wealth of knowledge and even experience with people, as many people as we can. We believe that time is short. We know that Jesus is coming again very soon. And God is not just interested in our physical health, but also our spiritual health.
Amen.
So we really want to push that training component even further.
Amen. Well, you just said the key word, soon. Jesus is coming soon.
Yeah.
Right now, we're going to go to a song with John Stoddard entitled Soon. Wow, soon. Thank you, John. Thank you. All right, so I can't believe our time is running short, but I want to hear about some of the challenges that you faced in ministry.
I think the first challenge that we faced was probably a personal one, our time management.
Okay.
Sometimes when you're involved in ministry, ministry can kind of take the focus away from your time, and you're not spending enough time with God. And so we had to be very deliberate. So we set timers on our phones to make sure that we are definitely spending our time with God. Because it doesn't matter if we are reaching the world with a cooking school, with wellness consultations, but if we're not spending time with the Master, then we're wasting our time.
Yeah.
So I think that was probably our first challenge. Let's see, what would be our second one?
I think our second one would be people confining us to just one type of ministry. So everyone knew the seventh scroll as the bus. And so we just can't confine God. And so when he moved us in the different direction, because the bus did have the preaching component as well as the teaching component, but not so much the health component.
Yeah.
And so when God moved us more so towards the health, we just kept on hearing bus.
Yeah.
You know, and that was hard for us because that's what we knew as well.
Yeah. So the shift was made, but everybody had you stuck back here. It's interesting how that works, even in personal lives too. If you've been brought through some kind of trial, or if you've overcome something, people still confine you to your past sins or your past indiscretions or your past whatever the case may be. People still confine you to that. But you know, I like how you said, God, we try and confine God, but God moves us in different directions. And we have to be willing to follow him in those directions. You know, I've asked you about your needs for the ministry, and this was prior to the program, and I remember you saying that prayer, you need prayer. So we definitely want our viewers to pray for you guys, but I think that they should also support you financially. Food's not free. This stuff is not free to put on the cooking classes and stuff like that. And there's a lot of people that need your services.
We would really appreciate the prayer first and foremost, and the financial support would be a blessing as well. Because there are lots of people in New York City who are suffering and who really need to hear the everlasting gospel.
Absolutely. So hopefully our viewers will pray for you and support you financially. Just like the Bible says, faith without works is dead. You know, prayer without action you know, we need to put some action behind our prayers as well. You know, I've got 15 coats, and this guy's out here cold, and I just tell him I'm going to pray for him. That doesn't work. So we're going to go to your address roll and let people know how they can get in touch with you.
To find out more about the Seventh Scroll and how you can help with their mission, please visit theseventhscroll.org or email them at info@theseventhscroll.org. You may also call them at 347-779-7628 or write to 150 South Portland Avenue, Brooklyn, New York 11217.
Our time is short now, but you know, I want you guys to share what's on your hearts. And Joanna, I want to start with you.
I would say just to follow God. Whatever He tells you to do, it may not make sense at first, but it will eventually.
God does love us. He really does. And we know that He's coming again soon. And for any young person out there, for any older person out there who's wondering, what should I do in my life? I'll say just start by asking.
Yeah.
Just start by asking.
Yeah. So what about somebody who's wanting to go into ministry? Why should they get involved in ministry?
So many experiences. We could write a book about this, Jason.
You probably should. You probably should.
So many experiences. But get into ministry because it draws you closer to God as you're able to be used by Him to help other people. That's what we're on this planet for, to help other people, to be a blessing, and so God continues to bless us. So.
You touched on something earlier that I want to bring back too, is that you can't neglect your relationship with God. Just because you're in ministry, you have to plug into the source.
Even more.
Even more,
Even more. And that's sometimes overlooked because I think people get into the nuts and bolts of ministry, and it becomes kind of like a mundane kind of everyday kind of service.
Yes.
But God wants our devotion.
Absolutely.
He wants a connection with us.
And He more than deserves it.
He does.
More than deserves it. He's been so faithful to us. We definitely need to be faithful to Him. Thank you so much for coming on. Thank you. You're so far, but thank you. Thank you. And thank you for joining us. Make sure you tune in next time. God bless.